Welcome back to the channel. My name is Adam Smith, and inside this game unboxing video, I'm looking forward to showing you Star Wars The Mandalorian Adventures and everything that comes inside of this box coming from Unexpected Games. As you can see on the back of the box, we get an idea as to some of the components we're going to find inside. I'll be showing all of these up close, except for anything that is deemed to be a spoiler. We'll keep those away from this unboxing. Now, what is the Mandalorian Adventures all about? Well, you're offered a lucrative job as a lone bounty hunter beginning a journey that's going to put your skills to the test and redefine your world. The Mandalorian Adventures allows players to experience a new part of the Star Wars universe on their tabletops, navigating unique maps and missions. Players must cooperate to accomplish their goals and avoid defeat. You get to play as one of 8 unique characters, each with their own deck of cards and strategies that are going to help you to fight enemies, solve dilemmas, to complete mission objectives. All the action takes place on an illustrated map book as players get to recreate iconic moments from Season 1 of The Mandalorian. With an intuitive system that's easy to teach, the game is going to grow with new rules, components, and mission types added in over time, some even featuring a hidden traitor mechanism as well. And the back of the box also sums up what I just mentioned in terms of choosing one of the 8 heroes available to you in this one, living through the adventure, fighting enemies and solving dilemmas, and then discovering additional rules, components, and extra special mission types as you continue through the game. When you open the box for the very first time, you're going to find 2 envelopes that specifically mention not to open these until instructed. You have envelope 1 and envelope 2, so I'll put these off to the side. I will certainly not be showing these during this unboxing. The next thing you'll run into inside the box is, of course, the rulebook. I'm going to bring this out. We're going to take a look through a number of pages within it to give you an idea as to how it is structured and flows. And then we're going to check out the punch board underneath and a number of cards and other components below. All right, let's take a look at the rulebook up close. We had the introduction at the very beginning saying players embody the legendary bounty hunter and his allies as they work together to complete daring missions inspired by Season 1 of The Mandalorian. That is the context. You have the key concepts area talking about the missions because, of course, you're progressing through missions as you go through this adventure. And you have the guide deck up here talking about that and how it's used. Also, how cards will be introduced and when they're going to be introduced. And, of course, talking about the envelopes we just mentioned moments ago about not opening those until instructed to do so. Also, down here, very bottom, you can watch a video tutorial as well to see how the game is played and how it flows, so you don't have to actually consume this rulebook, although it is quite small, so you should be able to actually get through it yourself if you prefer to read. We now see the setup instructions running from steps 1 through to 7 on these 2 pages, and at the very bottom right, you'll see a mention here about playing solo, and it also mentions at the very bottom of that paragraph, if playing solo, you will use 2 characters. For those who like to adjust their difficulty, this game does allow that. In the prior shot, in the bottom left, you'll notice a table talking about the difficulty levels, which you can adjust to your liking. You got the component list here. Of course, we'll be looking at some of these components up close and personal, if not all of them. And then playing the game is listed out. Things really start at this point in time on this page. You've got the action step, the event step, and the draw step, and then things are broken out from there. In terms of how the rulebook is laid out, you have the main information on the white background, and then of course in these blacker, darker backgrounds, you have more focused information, things about terrain, for instance, or threat tokens, enemies, and features. And at this point already, we've hit the halfway point of the rulebook. As you expect from most rulebooks, you'll see some full samples or examples laid out. In this case, we have a sample of the event step. As we get towards the end of the rulebook, we start seeing things like character limitations and the playing solo section. I'll go over both these really quickly. So the character limitations section here says if there are more players than available characters for a mission, you need to use either the sandbox mode or share characters mode. So the sandbox mode allows you to use any characters in any mission instead of following the events of The Mandalorian. These rules are quick and easy to use, of course, because you're just kind of going a little bit Wild West with things. But if you go with the shared character mode, this mode uses characters as they appeared in The Mandalorian, so it follows the show much better, but requires players to share control of them. It is more complex and may make the game longer and even more challenging, so it's worth mentioning that. Further details beyond that are all explained right here on these pages, but going over here to the playing solo section, which a lot of solo gamers out there are going to be wanting to focus on, is to play the game single player, you simply use the shared character mode shown above. So you're going to be using this one right here that we talked about. You play with a single hand controlling both characters. You win by completing the mission objective as normal. All of the rules apply, including using the guide deck. The last couple pages get into additional rules and some terminology you might need to understand, and then gets into the credits section, and that's it. So honestly, sitting down with this particular rulebook, you could probably get through this in about 20 minutes average. If you're a fan of quick reference guides, you've got one here on the back of this rulebook as well. Frequently overlooked rules on the right-hand side, which is really nice to see because a lot of games have these little nuances within them, which is nice to kind of nip in the very, very first printing of the rulebook. We're now looking at the punch boards that were included in the box, and they are double-sided, and there are 2 punch boards. We'll take a look at both of them. Of course, we have some unique characters up here in the top left. We'll flip this over to the opposite side. You'll see completely different things on the opposite side of these tokens. And then we have another sheet with more characters up there in the top left-hand corner, and more to see on the back. The next component is a very important one. This is the mission book you'll be playing right on top of. You go ahead and open up the book, and it gets you right into the story right off the get-go. And from there, you start going into your very first mission. You'll see the actual mission board laid out here, as well as the characters, the objectives, any map rules you might need to know. You have sections for moving, attacking, intel, and planning in terms of where things are going to situate. And you have the actual map itself right here. Now, I'm going to show you a couple more going forward, but that's going to be it because I don't want to go too deep into this book. I want you to be able to experience this on your own, but I will show you 1 or 2 more of these, and as you can see, there is story in between them, of course, as you'd expect, and you get into the next one here. There's going to be an escape in this one, for instance, and then you continue on with the story and move into the next. That's going to do it for all the components laying on top of this section of the box. We now see the insert underneath where things can be housed. And it is worth mentioning here, you can see that there is one deck here that you're not going to go ahead and shuffle or look at these until the game tells you to. So I will not be showing these as part of this video, but I will be taking a look at the other decks and showing you those. Here are the components that were found at the bottom of the insert pulled out. Of course, we're not going to show you these standees up close. They're not as exciting, but they become exciting once you put the standee into the base and on the actual adventure book itself. But what we're going to focus on right now is an up close look at each of these 2 standard size decks fully, and then we're going to take a look at these mini cards as well. And that, my friends, wraps up the game unboxing video for Star Wars The Mandalorian Adventures, coming from Unexpected Games. Now, if you're a fan of Star Wars, you're definitely going to want to check this out if you are a solo player. I know for myself, I'm a big fan of Star Wars, and the Mandalorian series was a lot of fun to watch, so I cannot wait to actually try this out and see how much of an experience it gives me in relation to what I know from the TV series itself. Should be a lot of fun. Looking forward to digging into it. Thank you guys so much for watching. Let me know in the comments down below what you think of what you've seen, and of course, for those out there already playing this one, let us know your thoughts on what you think of The Mandalorian Adventures. Are you excited for more that might come as part of this adventure series? Thank you guys so much once again, and as always, keep on rolling solo.